Okay, let's just check, make sure that everything is looking good. Making sure that we got some audio coming through the YouTubes, you know. Audio coming through. Alright, yeah. We're good. Good day, viewers. Have you ever heard of a Smokey Saint? Well, Smokey Saint is a YouTuber who is very bombastic. He's very coarse, he's very caustic, he's very loud, and he's very insulting. It's all he does is he tries to humiliate and denigrate the people that he talks to who don't agree with him. And well, that's his, that's the way he works. That's his modus. That's his operation method. And it doesn't work on maybe it works on weak-minded people like those who follow Smokey Saint. But the reason for this particular episode is because Smokey Saint is a heinous human. Now, I've been having some interactions with Smokey Saint, but let me give you an idea of what kind of a person we're dealing with. Okay, so Smokey Saint used to be a realtor, I think, in California. You know how realtors are. They got the biggest ego. They're the most arrogant people on the planet. And narcissism oozes out of every single pore of Joshua Herbel, Smokey Saint. Ew. Anyway, he's got a big mouth. He's got an amazingly big mouth. And he says things like this. Attention, all big mouths. You run your mouths about me in environments where you don't have to confront me. You are petty, feminine degenerates with no manhood or morality, gossiping and backbiting with no nerve to confront the one you accuse. I call you all to lay your accusations in front of me instead of hiding in your echo chambers to slander me with no chance of counter-argument. I dare you all to show up and lay out your accusations against me and prove you are all immoral idiots with no sound judgment and only lies to rely upon. We are awaiting. Okay, that's Smokey Saint. So, let me take a breather and let me have a look at the chat, see if there is Kent Hoven CPA. Welcome, man. I hate that guy too. Joshua Nathan Marks Herbel, aka Smokey Saint, aka that convicted Mecklenburg diddler. Hey, peasant. Funny you should say that, Kent. Because it seems that, yes, look at that. You are right, Kent. Joshua Nathan Marks Herbel is his name. On the 11th of September 2017, the report was created. Report number 469074, Josh, that this male born on the 15th of September 1980 something, has a charge history, and here it is. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 charges. So Smokey Saint is being charged with 7 charges. The first charge as I lose my slipper, okay, the first charge, as you will see on this little, can you see my, yeah, down here? Indecent liberties with child. That's the first charge. Remember, there's 7 of them. Okay, the second charge is indecent liberties with child. There's a third charge. The third charge, to make sure I got it right, the third charge, indecent liberties with child. Now there's a fourth charge, which I'm going to read out. The fourth charge reads as follows: indecent liberties with child. But it carries on. There's a fifth charge for Joshua Nathan Marks Herbel, who goes on YouTube by Smokey Saint. The fifth charge is statutory rape, sexual offense against a minor who is greater or equal to 6 years old. In other words, Smokey Saint is being charged with an offense that if the victim was a 7-year-old, this charge would be appropriate. Now there is a sixth charge to Joshua Nathan Marks Herbel, aka Smokey Saint, and that sixth charge is statutory rape, sexual offense for a minor greater than or equal to 6 years old. In other words, if the victim of the crime committed by Joshua Smokey Saint was 7 years old, this charge would be appropriate for Smokey Saint Joshua or Herbel. There's also a seventh charge. The final charge, the seventh and final charge to Joshua Nathan Marks Herbel, aka Smokey Saint. This charge is statutory rape, sexual offense against a minor who is greater than or equal to 6 years old. In other words, if the victim of this sexual assault crime were 7 years old, then this charge would be appropriate and would apply to Smokey Saint. Now, the Smokey Saint is he's a vile individual, and he's got a bunch of vile kind of haters that sort of side with him. And I trolled. I got to go into this because I thought it was brilliant. I trolled Smokey Saint one time. He was in a hangout, and I was in the it doesn't matter. The hangout was, I was not in the hangout, but there were a whole bunch of Christians in the hangout, and I was in the side chat, and I wrote, Oh, he's going to bring it up. Okay, listen to this. Just remember, I'm trolling him, huh? And he goes off the deep end.
Oh, it's a facade. Okay, okay. So I could say that about Smokey Saint, couldn't I? All a facade. What comes out of his mouth towards myself and other people in the grace community.
Okay, so the person whose voice you're hearing is Andy Cap, who I think is a very nice guy. I get along with him very well. I used to talk to him quite often. British guy, entrepreneur, and these people were on his case about something that they just have to pick on somebody. Something they don't like about somebody. They'll pick on anything. They won't pick on his ideas. Forget about that. They'll just go to insults and pick up on his his businesses and his anything they can find to to try and trigger the person that they're all sort of like hens, peck, 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 peck. Anyway, this is the way it goes. When I make a comment and Smokey Saint brings me into the chat, into the conversation.
Sydney, do me and the entire YouTube environment a giant favor, really, and I do mean this seriously.
Okay, so remember, this is a giant favor that Smokey Saint wants me to do for him, and he's very serious about this. Okay.
Go look up what a genetic fallacy is and realize that you basically use it every single day that you ever open your mouth.
Yeah, he's accused me of using a genetic fallacy for every time I open my mouth. In other words, if I say, why am I clipping? I always seem to clip at the wrong times. Oh, no wonder. I'm way up there. So, the reason that he brought he brought me up was because I read that blah, 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 because I wrote in the side check, don't tell Smokey Saint that I'm here. He hates atheists, and that he picked that up, and that triggered him into his anti-atheist rant. And he goes on about some fallacy, genetic fallacy nonsense. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So everything I say, he just says, "Oh no, no, not true. Genetic fallacy. We don't know what that genetic fallacy really means, but he says genetic fallacy, and all his minions, oh yeah, they fall for it. Yeah, genetic fallacy. You know, they're all sort of nodding heads around Smokey Saint. Yeah, let's carry on.
Like, just like there's a reason, Sydney, that your attacks against theists generally are just ignored and laughed at. Do
Firstly, I don't attack theists. I attack theology. I cannot attack theology. I point out theology for what it is. It's just another form of philosophy, I guess. But it's not a tangible thing. It doesn't really exist as something as something evident. It's just essentially theology is a thought experiment. And it's a thought experiment which is controlled. This is a thought experiment, and you think in this thought experiment the way I tell you to think. You know, that's the sort of a theist thought experiment. Let's carry on.
please, for the benefit of literally everyone, like, do yourself a favor. Stop embarrassing yourself so horribly, showing how little you actually know about philosophy while playing around in the field to attack theism. Do us all a giant favor, Sydney. And do you see? Do you see this? This is an idea of a sign of reprobation. There's no desire to ever learn. There's no desire to
See, this is the kind of stuff he does. He starts bringing up this reprobation nonsense. And then he goes and he says, you say, there's a sign that there's no reprobation here. And he goes on and on, but there's no reprobation. And then I went blah, 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 blah. Because it is. All of theology and all of Christianity and all of religion is blah, 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 blah. None of it makes sense. Everybody pretends to believe it. And the show goes on. Nonsense.
Sydney, seriously, there's a reason you can't get traction. Even atheists recognize the fallacy and the scumbaggery in it. Just go look it up.
Ooh, even atheists realize scumbaggery. I'm going to look it up like he says. Where?
Spend 5 minutes, Google genetic fallacy, and realize that it's basically your entire channel.
So my entire channel is genetic fallacy. Do you guys agree? Genetic fallacy? I don't even want to look it up because it's obviously going to not answer the question, because all he's doing is he is deflecting. Every time we bring up his chomo past, his grooming past, his statutory rapustus past, he goes and deflects and insults and raises his voice, and he becomes like he becomes a real estate salesman, a realtor.
Just do that, and you might be able to reconcile why atheists and theists alike consider you to just be a dumb joke.
Oh, that hurts. That atheists and theists alike consider me to be a dumb joke. Look, theists, I don't give a fuck about you. You guys are a lulz cow fodder any day of the week, so no problem. But when atheists consider me to be a joke, it's going to make me cry. Okay, I'm over it. Let's carry on.
Just a bit of advice. Ignore it if you want. I don't care, Sydney. You want to continue to be a stupid clown and advertise that for the rest of your waning, worthless existence. Go ahead.
Ooh, you see how the insults fly? Your waning, worthless existence. As if my existence and Smokey Saint's existence are somehow different. You see, this is the way he thinks. He thinks through his asshole.
No skin off my back. Just trying to do you a solid. Good morning, Kenny. How you doing?
It's not over yet.
Kenny.
Doing good there. Just making me some taquitos and getting Aunt Ruth's breakfast ready before I go to sleep for the night.
Gotcha.
Mind you, God also expresses hate. Don't you know that he also condemns sin? He also condemns sin and hates it in other forms. And then he doesn't.
So this loving God that they represent and that they worship, this loving God actually has hatred. He actually hates. The loving God has hatred. You see how the hypocrisy of theology is, it knocks you out like a punch.
Given to that nice culture stuff. In fact, there was a time where he flipped tables at near a temple because there were people turning into a marketplace. And for all we know, he might have used words that might have been vulgar during that time.
Yeah.
Well, Sydney, that just shows that you really have no clue what the Bible says about anything, let alone.
Well, you know what, Josh? You're almost right. It's not that I have no clue, but I certainly haven't read the whole tome. No, I don't have to. It's what you don't understand Josh, Smokey Saint, is that this Bible that you refer to, this theology that you refer to, it's it's ash. There's no foundation to it. It's ash. You touch it and it just crumbles. The presupposition that you live by is inherently irrational. Because, Smoky Saint, Josh, you accept that science and the scientific method has some merit, do you not? Well, the first law of thermodynamics, okay, that's the first law of thermodynamics, establishes that energy is fundamental. In other words, it's there, you can't add to it, you can't decrease from it, you can't subtract from it, but it's there. That is fundamental, okay? So when you take a presupposition of something outside of, like pre-fundamental, it's irrational. It doesn't make any sense at all, other than in the imagination, which is fine. Nobody cares. You can do whatever you want. But when you preach, promote, insult, cajole, harass, humiliate people so that they will accept your nonsensical, irrational point of view, then that makes you, Smokey Saint, Josh Herbel, makes you a heinous person.
Theology, which also shows. Hold on, real quick. Yeah, why? How would an atheist know? I know, but more importantly, Sydney, all you've done is advertise the entire room of Christians.
Okay, here comes the troll. Check this out.
That you probably never read the Bible and you have no clue what it says. Now, if that's true, which indeed it seems to be, then you reject something you don't understand. That's all that's happened. You show you know nothing about the thing you claim to have scrutinized enough to know it's untrue, which makes you a fraud. So that's what you've advertised. You should be careful, Sydney, when you open your mouth and talk out of your.
He got very triggered when I said Thick Shades is a lot more Jesus-y than Smokey Saint. This is what's triggered him now.
Ass about things you know nothing about, particularly about theology, because you just took a piss. You just took a piss on yourself by opening your mouth and saying that, because then you clearly have no tangible understanding of even what the Bible says. I would ask you to join the show and back up that.
Well, dude, I have backed up my claims. Sorry, I backed up my claims with evidence. There it is. So have a look at it and digest it, and you can get back to me with some answers if you like. But I don't really care. You're a chomo. You're a nonce.
Claim as to what is Christ like. I would dare you, but you wouldn't.
Just another triggered atheist that doesn't have the balls.
You see that? So those Christians are triggered by me saying that Thick Shades is a lot more Jesus-y than Smokey Saint.
To come in and confront you.
Exactly. Yeah, Sydney, I would dare you to come in and tell us all what you think being Jesus-y is. We'd love to see the comical failure of Sydney Winston, the atheist, who knows nothing about the thing he claims to know enough about to reject.
Shit. Thank you. Damn, I was muted. So, what I was saying while I was muted was essentially that they bought the troll. They got triggered, and then they all called me a coward for not coming into their room and facing their wrath and their anger. But, you know, it was all about this, what's on the screen right now. It was all about Joshua Nathan Marks Herbel, aka Smokey Saint, who on YouTube continues to deny the charges that led to his court case on his indecent liberties and statutory rape of somebody who was greater than or equal to 6 years old. Maybe she was 7. Maybe he was 7. Maybe he was 14. Maybe she was 14. I don't know. I don't know the particular details. I don't really want to know. But the fact is that Smokey Saint denies that he's a chomo. Smokey Saint denies that he's a nonce. The evidence says otherwise, which I've presented as he requested. So end of story, Smokey. We're done. Okay? We should never have to talk about this again. All right, guys, let's go to the chat. Let's go see what's happening in the chat. So Kent, peasant, or what are you saying? Peasant, don't embarrass yourself in front of the child rapist, Sydney. Yeah, you really. Can you believe it? Yeah, Knox daughter was great. I got the. It's a long one, but it's a good interaction between Smokey Saint and Nakasuchi. I should play it soon, or maybe I'll play it. Well, we'll see. We'll see what you guys want. If you want me to play it, I will. But it's an episode in itself. It's like a whole day, really. So Josh was 21, and his victim was 14 when he raped her. He raped a 14-year-old when he was 21. What kind of a degenerate human being does that? Someone who has no sense of consequence. Do you not understand, Smokey Saint, that when you do something, there's a consequence? When you harm somebody, there's a consequence. You have harmed a minor person, whether he or she be male or female. You have harmed that person psychologically, emotionally, for the rest of his or her life. And you do not hold yourself accountable? Well, we do. We don't forget. We will always remind you, Smokey Saint, of what a heinous human you are. And with that, I'm going to end it. Going to fade to black and get out of here as we do.